Speaking of NC State, from Ben, any coach in history ever signed so many guys who never set foot on campus? This is in relation to Trey Parker, not Matt Stone, but Trey Parker, a 4-star NC State signee in the 2023 class. He's reclassifying to 2024. He's going to be playing for Overtime Elite in 2023 and 2024, according to 24/7 Sports. This actually, now I know what you were referencing on yesterday's show, Joe, because we were talking about what had happened with Simeon Wilcher at North Carolina. And you say, hey, look, something similar might be happening at NC State. Was this what you were referring to?
Yeah. Shouts to my friend JC Zemble, Wolfpack Central, was explaining this to me that Parker is at Overtime Elite prep now down in Atlanta. And in high school, you're allowed to have NIL deals. So he has an NIL deal at Overtime Elite. He's paid to play basketball in high school. That's legal. I don't know the number. Let's just say it's more than $200,000. Okay. Mm-hmm. Let's round it up to 3. If you're making $300,000 to play high school basketball and you're eligible to go play college basketball, well, it stands to reason you probably want to make $300,000. Well, we've talked to Kevin Keatts before about how NIL works, and they prioritize players. They go out and get players, and they spend money. They have to spend money on those players. Mm-hmm. The collective has to spend money on those players. At this point in the process, if you're Parker, you're not getting $300,000 to go play basketball at NC State. You're not on top of that priority list. Mm-hmm. So what would you do? You're eligible to take a 5th year of high school and make $300,000 again.
Makes sense to me.
Are you going to go to NC State, not be a starter, and not make $300,000? Like, this is a fairly simple math equation.
So this isn't
this
related.
Has nothing to do with Kevin Keatts.
This has nothing to do with grades either.
No,
it's just money.
Grades are a figment of everyone's.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a valid point.
Seriously,
I always forget.
College,
unless we're talking about Michigan basketball. That's the only time grades apparently ever matter.
The gold standard of Michigan.
Michigan man.
Get the hell out of here, Michigan. So anyway, just as Wilcher is not about some, indictment of Hubert Davis.
No.
Parker being able to make money at Overtime Elite, he's making a smart move for himself. As we said about Devin Leary last year in football, you come back, or are you going to go make, I think it was $30,000 or $40,000 a month for Kentucky? Yeah. Duh. Let me go be. I'll go manage Devin's car service. I'll go pick up his laundry. What are we talking about here? Come on.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that about playing time or indictment on Hubert Davis or anything like that. We got a response to our conversation about Simeon Wilcher yesterday.
Oh, people are mad.
I get it. This is from Anchor Bill. Would not speculate on the value of playing time in the changing landscape of NIL. Well, two things can be true at once.
Yeah.
Okay. Like in the case of what's going on here with Trey Parker. And going and playing basketball at Overtime Elite, that makes logical sense to me that I'd rather make more money playing high school ball at Overtime Elite than not playing and not making as much at NC State. And then you can just defer it to 2024. In the case of Wilcher, well, it's not about, to me, I never read it as NIL, and everything that I've followed up on has nothing to do with NIL, has everything to do with this guy wants the ball in his hands to be a facilitator. And they feel that Elliot Cadeau, who's reclassifying, is better suited to do what they want than Wilcher. And if you're going to have a guy that comes off the bench, it would be Seth Trimble at this point, and not necessarily Wilcher, who wants to play. And I forgot who it was that reported this. It might have been On3, might have been John Fanta, for all I know, that apparently Wilcher is having a conversation with St. John, which makes a lot of sense. You go play for Rick Pitino and get a lot of minutes. So two things can be true at once. Yeah, NIL is changing things, but I still maintain that the ultimate currency in college basketball of all sports is playing time. And you want to ultimately play. And that's what ultimately leads to a lot of these transfers.
I mean, you can have both. You can have playing time and NIL money. But for the most part, I think players want to be in a situation where they're showcased, right? We saw this last year with G.G. Jackson in North Carolina, right? They're the preseason number 1. And you're like, wow, G.G. Jackson's going to go to Carolina and be Marvin Williams. And he was like, no, I don't want to come off the bench. Basically, he was saying, I don't want to win a championship. I want to go to South Carolina. I want to take every shot I can possibly have. And I want to be the focal point, and I want to get paid by South Carolina. That was his choice. I'm not saying it was right, but it was the choice that he got to make. And that is the reality of the college sports landscape right now. And the sooner we all figure that out, And the sooner we all look at it and go, why can't the players have the same rights as the coaches, the better off we will all be.
All right, this is from Chris over at Dagon Box Scores. Big fan of his newsletter. Did not foresee the governor talking about developing the bench or going 8 or 9 deep for the Heels this upcoming season, but here we are. Why? And I'm not accusing Chris of this. It's just that oftentimes when we've had conversations with Roy Cooper, people are legitimate, like, wait, oh, he really is about that life. No, he doesn't just use sports as a way to, I don't know, campaign or seem more relatable. That dude feels it. He feels it when it comes to the Canes and the Tar Heels. And if he ever wants to talk about, I'm rooting for all the teams, how did he talk about the Heels show?
Yeah. No, he's a real UNC fan. These are real conversations that UNC fans have, right?
Yes.
You have this identity forever. And I get it, man. It's hard to play one way and be one way for 60 years. And then Hubert come in and kind of have a different way. And that's the most interesting part of Carolina basketball for next season for me. And you and I are kind of on different ends of the spectrum. I'm trying to come to your end to understand that Carolina has a different standard. I just kind of sort of refuse to believe that you could go to the national championship game your first year and somehow be on the hot seat in your third year. I'm still trying to process that. You're getting me there. You're getting me there because it is a different standard. And I'm trying to understand that. But no, like Coop is definitely a true Carolina fan in every sense of the word.